of times. You maintain your calm towards your only end, while sheltering me from the storm. And when it's cold, you wrap me in a towel so warm. Oh my, I'm so glad I was born. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through all those pain and suffering. No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you. Give you all my love, oh yeah. Oh, thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through all those pain and suffering. No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you. This is my word. I'm gonna make you so proud. Such good son you have. You're the one who teaches me all the good from the bad. Even when the system keeps pressuring my dad, you've got high hopes. Thanks be unto the Most High God. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through all those pain and suffering. No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you. Give you all my love, oh yeah. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through all those pain and suffering. All my vision, aspiration, I owe it all unto you. It's my words and my offering. I'm a big man now, that's how things go. Things I do to survive, only Jah knows. They're sleep protecting us while watching us grow. You've been up, even when it's on the down low. Work so hard to see us go to school. Blisters on your fingers so they can't take us for food. I'm here for a purpose, I'm here to rule. Most High Jah, Rastafari will see us through. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through all those pain and suffering. No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through. Oh my, oh my. Oh, Mama, don't cry. Gonna give you my blood so high. Reaching out to all the mothers in the world. Sometimes it's just the way things are to be, yeah. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through all those pain and suffering. No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you. Give you all my love, oh yeah. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through all those pain and suffering. No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you. It's my words and my offering.
That is what I see, and that problem is not a new problem to me, you know. I was aware of the tendency for the honorable to vote of control since 1987. Argue your case, everybody has a chance to do it, but not that my good friend. The minute you oppose my good friend, Mr. Speaker, the minute you oppose my good friend, he gets very, very angry, and if you oppose him strong, Mr. Speaker, he becomes a raging bull, and that is what this government is not prepared to. That is what it was. We just were not prepared to accept that.
We just were not prepared to accept that. And Mr. Speaker, you don't know the trouble I see. You don't know the trouble I see. I have had to live with that for 12 years. When you can't have your way, and when you cannot have his way, Mr. Speaker, his method is to bully. That's what it is. His method is to bully you. That is what I fought against. That is why his central terminated. Mr. Speaker, we do not tolerate bullying in the secondary school system. We are not tolerating bullying in the cabinet. We are not tolerating it. And if the member for Diego Martin left, we have a cabinet in which bullying is the order of the day. He would have had to form the cabinet himself. It ain't going to happen in this one. It's not going to happen. He was allowed to be here. The member realizes it. I don't think the member realizes it. that when you carry on the hate that you have, it impairs your judgment. It impairs your judgment. That's what it does. And therefore your prescriptions are not straight.
Mr. Speaker, I see hate. Mr. Speaker, I see bitterness. Mr. Speaker, I see acrimony. Mr. Speaker, I see animosity. And Mr. Speaker, I see a man completely out of control. Completely out of control, Mr. Speaker. That is what I see. And that problem is not a new problem to me, you know. I was aware of the tendency for the honorable to go out of control since 1987. The minute you oppose my good friend, Mr. Speaker, the minute you oppose my good friend, he gets very, very angry. And if you oppose him strongly, Mr. Speaker, he becomes a raging bull.
This is 40 years I've been in politics. 40 years. 40 years later, you're telling me about changing my approach to speaking to people in Tobago? If after 40 years, then change now?
Mr. Speaker, you don't know the trouble I see. You don't know the trouble I see. I have had to live with that for 12 years. When you can't have your way, and when he cannot have his way, Mr. Speaker, his method is to bully. That's what it is. His method is to bully you.
Those are your words and those are his words.
President Knight, on this Mother's Day, of course, I try to, of course, to bring you something relating to Mother's Day. But, of course, this is usually a feature at the beginning of this live, simply because inadvertently, somehow, I am converted to some kind of robot. So I thought it was important, of course, to do this early testing so that we maintain a standard and quality that, of course, we have grown accustomed to or desire. So that is why, of course, I have to talk a little before in order, of course, to give you an appreciation and to satisfy the test that we would normally have. So that we don't have a robot-like voice at this moment, so we are going to, of course, pursue as we have planned. But of course, listen to Rowley and his misogynic statements and his propensity to, of course, hate women, a woman hater. On this, of course, Mother's Day, I thought it was important to treat with that and to let the world know that we have a misogynist individual in the office of a Prime Minister. Yes, it is Sunday, but it's also Mother's Day. And we intend, of course, to mix it and to bring greetings, but at the same time, face the reality in Trinidad and Tobago today. Let's hear Rowley again, and that is not all.
They haven't rioted yet. So I might raise it by another 15%.
Very, very angry. And if you oppose him strongly, Mr. Speaker, he becomes a raging bull. I see hate. Mr. Speaker, I see bitterness. Mr. Speaker, I see acrimony. Mr. Speaker, I see animosity. And Mr. Speaker, I see a man completely out of control. Completely out of control, Mr. Speaker. That is what I see. And that problem is not a new problem to me, you know. I was aware of the tendency for the honorable to go out of control since 1987. Argue your case. Everybody has a chance to do it. But not like my good friend. The minute you oppose my good friend, Mr. Speaker, the minute you oppose my good friend, he gets very, very angry. And if you oppose him strongly, Mr. Speaker, he becomes a raging bull. And that is what this government is not prepared to act. That is what it was. We just were not prepared to accept that.
That is what it was. We just were not prepared to accept that. And Mr. Speaker, you know the trouble I see. You don't know the trouble I see. I've had to live with that for 12 years. When you can't have your way, and when you cannot have his way, Mr. Speaker, his method is to bully. That's what it is. His method is to bully you. That is what I fought against. That is why his symptoms are terminated. Mr. Speaker, we do not tolerate bullying in the secondary school system. We not tolerating bullying in the cabinet. We not tolerating it.
Clip of some school children from one of our schools in the West. Young girls behaving in a manner like hyenas in the African jungle.
Parents who breed monsters at home and send these monsters to teachers.
Well, I want to tell Mr. Prasad Bisata tonight, that is none of your goddamn business. Because as long as Sharon is happy with how much I have outside and how much I have inside, Rowley's happy with that. At least what I had outside and what I have inside, they escape and they're alive.
Her words are slurred. She's fallen down all over the world. In the car, out the car. No. No man ain't digging up my bottom like that. No. No man ain't digging up my bottom like that. I mean, there's some people who know they're getting on, you know.
Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC go and put that bill where the monkey put the nuts.
A most vulgar and outrageous radio program was on the airwaves called the Ground Report. You all remember that? In that report, it was the nastiest, dirty. As a matter of fact, what caught my attention was how filthy the program was on our airwaves. And I was asking myself, how could this be permitted on the airwaves of Trinidad and Tobago? Election or no election. And it was all about me and my father and my mother and this, and I had raped this, and I had done that, and the Ground Report. And it was being conducted by known felons.
The government is not closing down Petrotrin. And in case you were just opening your fridge and you didn't hear that when you closed the door, let me repeat it. The government of Trinidad and Tobago, the government of Trinidad and Tobago is not closing down Petrotrin. I will tell you, like she loved me, like she loved no other man. And because she knows that I love women, she thinks I love any woman. I have taste. A lawyer who was on the verge of being your attorney general, sucking from the nipple of the panties, with licks in your waist, licks in your face, and licks all over your petty place. And she could jump high, she could jump low. She could drink this, she could drink that. She could back on the dog, we could ignore she chat. Coming with a coattail telling you, vote for Kamala. That is tantamount to hugging up a porcupine to go to bed.
Minister, I'd like to take the conversation to a more social round, the social climate. You look on social media.
It's Christmas time, we should have some drinks then.
Well, perhaps of the non-alcoholic flavor.
Well, that is not drink.
You gotta post like a woman. You gotta groom her every day. Otherwise it turns into a pasture.
I choose my words very carefully. I choose my word very carefully. You could behave as an effective opposition leader. I think the country is better for that. But geometry is not really the way to deal with these things.
1/3 of the murders in recent times are domestic violence or domestic issues. And then that, you call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom, I'm not in your choice of men. Call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom, I'm not in your choice of men. Clip of some school children from one of our schools in the West. Young girls behaving in a manner like hyenas in the African jungle.
Parents who breed monsters at home and send these monsters to teachers.
Well, I want to tell Mr. Prasad Bisata tonight, that is none of your goddamn business. Because as long as Sharon is happy with how much I have outside and how much I have inside, Rowley's happy with that. At least what I had outside and what I have inside, they escape and they're alive.
Her words are slurred. She's fallen down all over the world. In the car, out the car.
Yes, people. So it was important, of course, to let you understand how dirty, how nasty, how irresponsible, how misogynic, how obnoxious, how destructive, how totally and unacceptably, the man doesn't have any manners. He doesn't have any care for, of course, human beings. And the cradle of civilization, in fact, is considered to be in the bosom or in the stomach or in the ovaries, if you want to call it that, or you want to call it, of course, in the belly of a woman. Yes, indeed. In the uterus of a woman. How dare Rowley? And we must, of course, let him know that he's unwelcome. He's unwelcome to, of course, be castigating and engaging, of course, in these kind of what I consider to be vitriolic statements, excoriating, disrespectful, and he has the audacity, and people like Apron Brown telling us that we must be more respectful to him only because he holds the office of Prime Minister. Well, because he holds the office of Prime Minister, we have a duty, just as he has a duty, to be much more humane, much more conciliatory, much more humane, much more humanistic, and much more altruistic, and much more philanthropic. Yes, indeed. That is where the responsibility of Prime Minister is. And when, of course, he disrespects that, nobody, including children, must, of course, respect him. Let's go to singing Sandra. Let's go to singing Sandra. Let's sing it, Sandra. Tell him as it is.
Well, perhaps of the non-alcoholic flavor.
That is not drink.
You got a person like a woman. You got to groom her every day. Otherwise, it turns into a pasture.
I choose my words very carefully. I choose my words very carefully. You could behave as an effective opposition leader. I think the country is better for that.
You want to help to mind your family. You want to help your man financially. But nowadays it's really very hard to get a job as a girl in Trinidad. You're looking out to find something to do. You meet a boss man who promised to help you. But when the man laid down the condition, nothing else but humiliation. You want to see your whole anatomy. You want to see where your doctor never see. You want to do where your husband never do. Still you will know if the scams will hire you. Well, if it's all this humiliation to get a job these days as a woman, brother, they go keep their money, I go keep my honey and die with my dignity. Some of them done pack up already, yet they sit down, waiting like my PP, using the power of their cash and position, waiting to abuse and exploit any woman.
Yes, singing Sandra, tell them as it is, using the cash and position. Men like Rowley with a face only, well, let's face it, a mother with love. But of course, devoid of pulchritudinous qualities. He was never blessed with any handsomeness. But of course, we'll use his position and qualification, and of course, money in order to, of course, hoodwink. That is why he ended up raping a school child, Miss Allen, that bore his first son. And he had the audacity, whilst as Prime Minister, to talk in this awful, obnoxious way about women. And of course, you heard Manning. Manning said he had to bear with that for 12 years. Rachel Bull. We'll get back to that. But tonight is, of course, about women. But we need to tell it as it is, and we need to make the women folk understand that they must now be advocates for the transformation, the transition that is coming. That is to say, to get to the polls in 2025 maximum and tell Rowley and they where to get off. And the first, of course, constituency to return a defeat of the PNM will be, of course, Diego Martin West, where Rowley, this despicable human being, resides. Sing, Sandra, sing. From the grave, sing, sing, sing. And let Rowley and they know where the hell to get off. Yes, indeed. Listen to this nasty son of a bitch and talking about women in the most, what I consider to be ridicule and, of course, most undignified and disrespectful manner and playing his prime minister. No. Why this is Sunday and while, of course, it's Mother's Day, we need to understand and tell our leaders who, of course, have infringed fundamental principles of disrespecting the other half of the human race, women, and that dignity and pride must be nourished, maintained, and, of course, not just protected, but promoted. Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, east, west, south, central, our friends in Tobago, wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. And yes, indeed, of course, this is the Sunday edition of the Corridor Transformation. Let me say, of course, I compliment profusely all of those persons who would have made contributions this morning on the 8 to 10 program with, of course, Dr. Khalid and myself. We had a bumper program. We were looking, of course, at solutions. But tonight is raw, and, of course, frontal, as well as no holds bar, as we, of course, confront those who have been given the awesome responsibility to manage the affairs of Trinidad and Tobago and have proven to be perfidious, have proven to be persons who have betrayed us. And of course, as Carrie Robinson would have said in the past, ungratefulness is worse than witchcraft. Well, I tell her and the PNM, ungratefulness is worse than obia and voodoo. Worse than obia and voodoo. So let us, because she herself is part and parcel of this conspirators, obnoxious, incompetent, impotent, kleptocratic group of individuals that Rowley has assembled in a mafia style syndicate or scenario in order, of course, to deprive and to raid the treasury and the resources of the country in their own interests and not in the best interests of taxpayers and therefore the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, including, of course, those born and those unborn. So we have a duty and responsibility to wrestle it from those hands and to get them out of office sooner rather than later. And of course, it must come. The Constitution says so. They pride themselves, of course, of being democratic. Well, I think the best explanation, the best characterization of the Rowley administration comes from Gary Griffith. He says that Rowley is administering a dictatorship or a democratic dictatorship. And no doubt all the evidence is there before us, and we must, of course, recognize that. Let's go back, of course, to some of the misogynic or the nasty statements that he would have been making against women.
Behaving in a manner like hyenas in the African jungle. Parents who breed monsters at home and send these monsters to teachers. Well, I want to tell Mr. Prasad Bisato tonight, that is none of your goddamn business. Because as long as Sharon is happy with how much I have outside and how much I have inside, Rowley's happy with that. At least what I had outside and what I have inside, they escape and they're alive. Her words are slurred. She's falling all over the world. In the car, out the car. Nah. No man didn't dig up my bottom like that. Nah. No man didn't dig
I want you to understand when he says this man has no restraint for ugliness and horrendous and disrespectful and horrible, as if his vocabulary is made up of only nasty words. Yeah, what he says that at least they escape and they're alive. So in other words, he from that statement, he's a practitioner of abortion. So he's an abortionist as well. Why would you make a statement like that? That what? That is none of your business. And they escape. In other words, they escape death. They could have been aborted, but they are now alive. Listen carefully. I want you to understand that when you hate Rowley and when you are convinced that the man is a bearer of death, evil, curse, wickedness, and nastiness, it must be justified. Don't forget, of course, we open up the lines one time as well, 337-6940. But listen to Rowley again on this matter, on this, of course, Mother's Day 2024.
School children from one of our schools in the West, young girls behaving in a manner like hyenas in the African jungle. Parents who breed monsters at home and send these monsters to teachers. Well, I want to tell Mr. Prasad Bisato tonight, that is none of your goddamn business. Because as long as Sharon is happy with how much I have outside and how much I have inside, Rowley's happy with that. At least what I had outside and what I have inside, they escape and they're alive.
Just imagine that. So he has confessed promiscuity. He had children inside and he had children outside. And that he's boasting that he did not, of course, put them to death. Put them to death. That's what he's saying. Once Sharon is comfortable with that. Well, Sharon seemed to be comfortable with that. Because all the talk we are hearing, she loved the perks and the attention and the position of the wife of the person who holds the office of Prime Minister, as despicable as Rowley is, as obnoxious and undeserving as he is. And as, of course, what Manning would have told us to warn us, but we could not have seen that coming. We couldn't see that coming until, of course, we actually actualize it, and it has now become part of our experiences. A pleasant good night, welcome. Pleasant good night, welcome. Pleasant good night, welcome.
A pleasant good night to you, Lennox.
Pleasant good night to you as well.
Everybody on the chat. And a happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. I hope you all had an enjoyable day today. Lennox,
hey.
Well, Mother's Day is coming to a close.
Yes.
The elections have started, and let the games begin.
Yes, yes, indeed.
We're going to let it start. That's right. Let the games begin. Lennox, you ask a question. Why would he say something like that? From the onset, from the first day Keith Rowley made that statement, I came on all the program and other places, and I said it's abortion he's speaking about.
You know why? Because they always, and Imbert started it, always making reference to Dr. Misesa. Right? But did you expect anything different from that vulgar man?
We know that now.
He
Everybody in the world.
Yeah. Know that he's vulgar, he's dishonest, and he's distasteful. Right? And for him to come and say something like that, no, by you standing on a platform and talk about if Sharon happy, right? You happy? That is abuse. That is abuse, Lennox. How can a woman be happy to hear about how many outside children you have? She's so in love with you.
With that face.
Yeah, she's so in love. The man has no self-respect, because if he can stand on a platform,
it seems as though, of course, we have lost our external contributor. But that being as it may, I'm sure she's going to call back. But let's go straight to the lines. Once again, we have another caller on the handheld device. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the Corridor Transformation. Of course, the Mother's Day Sunday night edition. Never pray that way. Yes, indeed. Oh, gosh. She's calling back. Let me just tell her to hold on. Miss Cruz, you'll have to hold on a bit. We got disconnect. Yeah.
We got cut off.
Yeah, but hold on. Don't say anything yet. I got another call whilst we were cut off. But go ahead, caller.
Okay, no
problem.
problem.
Yes, okay. Go ahead, caller on the handset.
Yeah, man, Lennox. First of all, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers about all happy Mother's Day to all the single mothers, all the single fathers, all the known as mothers, all the deceased mothers.
Yes.
Pleasant good night going out to you, brother, all the listening audience and everything. First of all, just want to say, don't get that. I hope Sharon happy like Papi. She has special branch, Goa branch, Tambra branch, Mango
the
branch.
perks. What would it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul, I suppose?
Bro, he is a happy man being a rapist and a pedophile. Remember Rio say that, right?
Yes.
And one thing I want to address on over here tonight, that $20,000 for e-sport for Spain, right? What happened to the rest of that? I could use that $20,000 in my business, right? I could use that $20,000 to help them in a startup business or doing some kind of business. You know what I mean?
Yes.
What I feel people should really do, I think they should have a big say in that. And I'm telling government, hey, you know what the rest of Trinidad? What is only Eastport, Port of Spain is Trinidad? You understand? Anyhow, I'll make it short and sweet. I know Miss Santa Cruz has a real valid point, and she coming through real nice one. I like that. So I want to live by saying Rowley is a rapist and a pedophile. Yes, brother.
I hear you. Thank you. That's it. All right. Okay. All right, Mr. Santa Cruz, you can go ahead. Everybody up the man cowboy, because and they ought to, because I mean the man is despicable. He is ugly. He is dangerous.
Yes, he's
he is
disgusted.
toxic. Yeah. Disgusted.
He's disgusted. He's
a very
vile,
appropriate
and he's
pattern.
vulgar.
Yes.
Oh gosh, man, I don't know what God was thinking about Lennox.
Yes.
You understand? And the man has lied so damn much.
Yeah, he should be
and
part,
you know, people
part of
stand
the
up on him. He would stand up there and spew his filth. And they would anyway, when he was spewing his filth about Patrick Man, and they stand up and they clap.
Yes.
Lennox, have you ever seen Colby but looking so disheveled as he has been looking these past few days?
Yeah, be shoveled, yes.
It's all the lies catching up with him.
Yes.
Because now he's saying there was a mix-up in the papers. What are the excuses they're going to come up with, Lennox?
Yeah, because she wasn't the statement of backdating the information, but he got in the bundle. She got in the bundle from his ministry, backdated on the 31st of January, but of course he was saying that there was none, and he wanted to take her to court and all kind of bacchanal. Now he has some kind of committee to look at what went wrong, as opposed to, of course, taking the position earlier that, of course, he was accusative of her of lying, in other words. Well, she know what she has to do. Go ahead.
But you know, Lennox, he thought that she was going to back down.
Yes.
And leave him to do what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
But he didn't know she was going to hang on. This was one dog that didn't drop the bone in the manger. This was one dog. She hung on to it. She hung on to it. Now, Lennox,
go ahead.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Go ahead.
You know, they say when your neighbor house on fire, you wet your own.
Yes.
Well, our house on fire, and I am appealing and I'm begging you all to wet our own. Because Lennox, a certain caller, is no different to Julia Davies. He might say that in a little diplomatic way, right? Yeah. But it's no different. It's always about some racist, this Indian, this and this Indian, that, and who in the judiciary, corrupt and defend. And you see all of that, Lennox? Yes. When you feel people not watching and listening, look at what she did to Frank Rampersad. Look at what she did to Frank Rampersad. The man had to go out now and hire security for $25,000 a month.
A month, boy. I was so appalled and you know, totally in a state of flummox to know that a certain judge has to do that to protect himself. Wow. Yeah. And then they took away, the state took away his security and said that it was unnecessary in such circumstances.
Right. Yeah. But Lennox, you know what disturbed me? Is it that I was so one-rated that I kept her there to spew that filth? Lennox, we must not allow that on our ground report.
Right,
we must never allow that things on our ground report.
He now has to pay the price because it is not by accident. But the TAT made those comments and gave those warnings. Is because it was so obnoxious, so pellucid, so conspicuous, so obvious that they had to comment on it. And otherwise, they would have let it go under the carpet.
Exactly.
Yeah. They had no choice.
But you see, Lennox, it's about time somebody put a stop to all this racist nonsense in this country, right? And the thing is, look at who you going to attack, a High Court judge. Yeah, and it's not the first time they attacked the man. You remember when they attacked the man and say he was getting all Ann and Ram Logan cases and throwing it out. And the man had to go, he had to come out and also talk about it. Once you are Indian, you are UNC. Once you are Indian, for these people, you are UNC. But you see, as I kept saying,
no, I think Miss Agruz, I think we had to add something. One, you are Indian and bright. Because you are able,
that's right.
Yeah, you are able to fight the system and win them and conquer them. You heard Hines in a converse position saying that the little victory that he said they get, he was applauding the judiciary for on this occasion, being in the corner of the state, with respect, of course, to the extension of Earl Christopher's tenure. Remember that?
Yeah. Go ahead. What's stupid? Yeah, that's stupid little thing for the extension. Yeah. You would swear.
Any Port Van Storm, you're gonna swear some fantastic victory. In fact, he didn't even wait for any comment or questions by the media. He just say what he had to say and just leave.
Yeah. I mean, and Lennox, you would swear. Yeah. You would swear that victory was stopping all the crime in the country. Yeah. You would swear that victory. Yeah. But Lennox, let me tell you something. Yeah. That's why now, instead of Iowa was nipping it in the bud, look what it is happening now. But now, if it was the High Court judge, they might have gotten away with it. Yes. Right? And the man came out and spoke about it. Yeah. But we also have to look at the fact, now I'm not casting aspersion on anybody, right? We also have to look at the fact that she has been doing it for too long and getting away with it, right? But Telecommunications Authority always writing Amar. which
Yes.
I am not against them, because
Yes.
if you say something wrong on the radio station, you need to be corrected, right?
Yes.
But look who heads Telecommunications Authority, Gilbert Peterson.
That's right. Rowley's
So we are
lawyer.
sitting and waiting.
Rowley's lawyer.
Right?
Rowley's lawyer. Let's make it
Right.
clear. Rowley's lawyer. Yeah, go ahead.
We are sitting now and waiting to see what is Telecommunications Authority going to do about Julia Davies and Iowa George Station. You see, they had to put a High Court order on Rhoda Barrett to stop her from speaking, right? I don't know if she under any other fake profile out there, but they had to put a court order on her because they love to come and purely bally say nonsense. And as I started Lennox, and by saying, when our neighbor house is on fire, we have to wet our own, right? And I hope something is done to clean up some of the contributions on the ground report. Because up to Thursday, Andy had to pull him up on his language. Up to Thursday morning.
Yeah.
You understand? And because Lennox, more than anything else, we don't want to lose the ground report. And we don't want Amar to get in trouble.
Voice. No, we cannot use that voice or the license really, because it has been to
put Amar station in trouble.
Yeah.
Lennox, thanks a lot and have a good night.
Same to you,
Take
same to you, of course, and happy Mother's Day, the rest of it to you as well. All right, for what is left of it, I trust that during the course of the day you would have been regaled with, of course, all kinds of niceties. Let me just say that. But of course, we are focusing on the despicable nature, and Ms. Santa Cruz raised a very valid point that it is about, of course, what is palatable for consumption within the context of a freedom of speech, of course, and the role of the fourth pillar of our democracy, which is the fourth estate, the media, of course, of which this is part of it. We are disseminating information, we are receiving information, and of course we are engaging, of course, in discourse in order to sway one way or another public opinion. That is what the role of the media is in a democracy, and hopefully that we will end up with the right solutions for the advancement of the particular community and or society in which we are engaged. So, having said that, I want to also say that most of the time when we regurgitate what people like Rowley are saying, and we are going to play it again tonight, what they are saying, I have a difficulty when Tat will ask the radio station to be eclectic, to be able to anticipate what these public officials who ought to know better and who ought to couch their language in a way to understand that they are not just holders of the particular office, but they are exemplars. They are supposed to be exemplars. They are supposed to be role models. They are supposed to be people who, young people in particular, will want to emulate, as well as, of course, adults and even, of course, those persons that may be closer to their 70. The point I am making is that Rowley and they have infringed that fundamental, and if they were a radio station, Rowley would have been closed down long time. You know what I say? If Rowley was a radio station, he would have been closed down long time. And listen to why. Listen to why. Listen to him.
Of some school children from one of our schools in the West, young girls behaving in a manner like hyenas in the African jungle.
Parents who breed monsters at home and send these monsters to teachers.
Well, I want to tell Mr. Prasad Bissoto tonight, that is
Listen
none
to
of
him.
your goddamn business.
That's the
Because
Prime
as
Minister
long
of
as
Trinidad.
Sharon is happy with how much I have outside and how much I have inside, Rowley's happy with that. At least what I had outside and what I have inside, they escape and they're alive.
Her words are slurred. She's falling down all over the world. In the car, out the car. Nah, no man ain't digging up my bottom like that. Nah, no man ain't digging up my bottom like that.
I mean, there's some people who know They're getting on, you know.
Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC go and put that bill where the monkey put the nuts.
A most vulgar and outrageous radio program was on the airwaves called the Ground Report.
Do I need to describe that statement for you? Is it not a rhetorical statement, meaning that it is self-explanatory? It is almost axiomatic? Because here it is, has no moral benefits in it. When he says that let Kamala and they put what he was referring to put it where the monkey put the nuts. I mean, come on. How does a prime minister come to that level with what we have grown up on as principles, as what? As values, our sense of right and wrong. Why would Rowley, a big man of university education, tertiary education, would abuse the office of prime minister as he has been doing and continues so to do? It is appalling. It is wicked. It is nasty, and it's not to say as a big old man, he does not know the difference and what is right. So we can only conclude that the man is a rank and unadulterated criminal. It's only criminals conduct themselves that way. And he has morphed the PNM into a criminal enterprise of a mafia nature, and we are seeing that unfolding on a daily basis, manifesting itself in the various nefarious projects, the brutalizing of the treasury, the misappropriation, the misrepresentation, the incompetence, and the brutal approach to power mongering. Brutal approach to power mongering to the point where Trinidad and Tobago has been so disruptive or disrupted that they have weaponized government against the people. And his economic policy is to tax the people, and somehow he believes that that will gain prosperity. The man is totally upside down. And of course, as people like the last caller and others would have observed, and I think a caller did that last week or during the course of, last week, when he said that the way how the government started by of course, administering the oath of office to the Attorney General before the Prime Minister tells you that things are topsy-turvy, that no way things could have been right. And as some people would say now, it appears that it is a case of who called the tune is the person who is paying the piper. And Dr. Rowley, as some people would say, in the underworld, or should I say, in the canal world scenario, like he pulled the devil tail, and so he now has to pay the price. Let's hear him again, so we are clear as to the man that must be jettisoned from not just politics, but from the office of Prime Minister. Shame on you, PNM.
Remember that? In that report, it was the nastiest, dirty. As a matter of fact, what caught my attention was how filthy the program was on our airwaves.
So, of course, self-righteous indignation is also part of his arsenal. So He hates the ground report. He hates me. I'm part of the ground report. He hates Andy, Mikey, because we speak the truth about him. And in his attempt to try to deflect attention away from himself, the despicable rapist and pedophile that he is, yes, it doesn't matter if it is Mother's Day, for Father's Day, I'll tell him the same and worse. But the fact of the matter is that here it is, he was trying to obfuscate, hoodwink, deceive the population at the time when he made that statement, pretending to be, of course, pious, immaculate, and spotless, when in fact he's guilty as hell. And I've been saying that for the past 9 years. 9 years. Almost 5 years on the ground report on 104.7. And all he did is skirt around it and try, of course, to put a lid on that expression that ought to have landed Rowley in jail a long time ago for rape. For rape, people. Let's hear him. But of course, you have people like Apron Brown recently trying to tell us, do not call Rowley a rapist or a pedophile or a despicable individual or a misogynist, and indeed must accuse him of murdering our elderly and recently our premature babies. Yes, apart from, of course, what is happening in the criminal scenario where homicide is the order of the day. Yes, he must be accused of geronticide during the course of the COVID administration. Geronticide, the killing of our senior citizens. Geronticide, people. Now let's hear him trying to, of course, score on meritorious and, of course, what I consider to be superfluous points. Nobody takes him on. How the hell you didn't tackle Lennox Smith and say that Lennox Smith, call him a rapist and a pedophile, take him to court and let him defend his name? No, I had to take him to court instead. But let's go straight to the line. A pleasant good night. A pleasant good night.
Yeah, good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you.
Yes, good night, Mr. Lennox. I'm going to sit maybe Marine land. Mr. Lennox, listen, this country, security seems to be in very, very serious trouble.
Yes.
Because, fortunately enough, I heard Mr. Saddam Hussein today was speaking about that and advising the judiciary and the banks and all these people about checking the security because of some security breach. What is really going on in this country? Like I said, I'm mad people here dealing with. I said, criminals.
Yeah,
because I don't understand what's going on in this place.
Who have idiotic tendencies.
I think you should get a cap and plate on the ground report because this is very serious. The country seems to be under siege. This is madness.
The country is under siege. They have weaponized the government against the people. It's called an auto coup.
Yes. I go on this with someone else's face, mad. I go on. Okay, nice weekend to you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, good observation. People's eyes are opening up. Take out the yampy from your eye. Take off the blinders. Take off, of course, the goggles that will not give you, of course, lateral vision. Or you could only see as far as your nose. No. We are in a dangerous position with some dangerous people who have captured government. And we must, of course, extricate ourselves from that. Even though, of course, they will cry to the prison. They're saying that they are innocent when all the evidence are around us and we ourselves are part of the evidence because we are in a state of increased poverty, deprivation, mismanagement and poor policy position, poor policy decision making, poor prioritization. And indeed, when one looks at the Balize House, when one looks at the advisories against Trinidad and Tobago by countries such as the United States in the North and the United Kingdom and Canada, don't come to Trinidad if you want to invest or you're a tourist. And if you do come, don't come to Laventille, don't go to on Nelson Street. But Rowley put desperados, $40 million of our monies, $40 million in a so-called plantation for desperados on Nelson Street. This man is evil to the core. Evil to the core. And will come in our faces when he gets back here. He does. And if he doesn't, well, of course, happy riddance. Let's go straight across to the lines. Let's go straight to the line. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yes, pleasant good night to you. Yes, pleasant night to you, Mr. Lennox.
Yes, good night to you.
All those who are on the program.
Yes.
On the program.
Thank you.
Now, I don't know if you could remember history in the scriptures where the Israelites were in Egypt and they were burdened down by the Egyptians, and the false narrative was that they were beaten with whips. That wasn't the case. The case was high taxation. The Israelites was placed under high taxation.
Yes, yes.
And they were multiplying at a fast rate. Now, it appears like we have a repeat of that same situation, because if you look at the guy who acted as Yul Brennan, as Pharaoh, he resembles our leader.
Oh yeah, Yul Brennan, yes, yeah, that was his star. Yeah, that was one of the
So, what I think right now we need is a Moses.
I agree.
We need a Moses
and
to bring us out from this taxation.
And all of us must play the part of Moses. All of us. So we have multiple Moses.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Yes, that is appropriate. That's an appropriate analogy, and of course to bring up the rear, all we now have to say, Rowley and the PNM and this criminal gang and this monstrous group of individuals engage, of course, in a kind of mafias syndicate. Let the people of Trinidad and Tobago go. Let them free. Because we can do better, we must do better. And without you, because all the talk you're talking about, you could do more with less. And you could be and put Trinidad and Tobago in a place always futuristically for prosperity, and that you are the best salesman, you're the best conman, best criminal, the best thief that there has ever been and could be in Trinidad and Tobago. Let the people of Trinidad and Tobago go. You modern day Pharaoh. Modern day Pharaoh. Yes, indeed.
And I was asking myself, how could this be permitted on the airwaves of Trinidad and Tobago? Election or no election. And it was all about me and my father and my mother and this, and I had raped this and I had done that, and the ground report. And it was being conducted by known felons. The government is not closing down Petrotrin. And in case you were just opening your fridge and you didn't hear that when you closed the door, let me repeat it. The government of Trinidad and Tobago, is not closing down Petrotrin.
I'm sure that mothers out there would ask the question, well, if it is a mother-focused program tonight, how does Petrotrin closure and the statement made by Rowley relevant to mothers at this point in time. But let me tell you, first and foremost, it was a lie. And mothers, as we said, is the cradle of civilization, procreation, and making certain that the society is renewed by having more and more of the same kind of human beings come to the fore. So that's one. The second area is this, that because of the closure of Petrotrin and the non-availability of our oil refinery in Mothball or in Fallow at this point in time for years since 2018, less employment opportunities. It is so bad that in the Marabella area where the oil refinery is located at Pointe-a-Pierre, and of course what is called the fence line communities, where businesses, whether it be groceries, whether it be rum shops, if you want to call it that, whether it be tuck shops, if you want to call it that, whether it be tire shops, or whether it be vehicle repair, whether it be, of course, people with a number of skills that are either connected directly or indirectly to the oil refinery, and workers, of course, from that facility, literally generating a kind of economic symbiosis. Economic symbiosis where they depend on each other for viability, for sustainability. Well, that has been removed totally. And therefore, it is nearly 60,000 persons would have been affected directly and indirectly by the closure of Petrotrin in the southwestern peninsula, some of whom took the easy way out of course, committing suicide. Others, of course, caused their family, the result of that caused their families to mash up, to disintegrate. Yes, and educational and other opportunities to upgrade and to uplift and to live a decent life by making use of the educational opportunities that are available can no longer be because mommy and daddy are out of work. So that particular statement by Rowley, false as it was from the beginning, has serious repercussions and implications for Trinidad and Tobago and women in particular, as their children can now be vulnerable, gullible, susceptible to going the wrong path because mommy and daddy could no longer provide as they used to, depending, of course, on Petrotrin as their lifeline, as an association, until they expected to resign from within up to that point in time. And they expected that their children, of course, as previous families would have benefited. The next generation would, of course, become Petrotrin employees. But that is no longer the case simply because of Rowley's pernicious, evil, wicked, and diabolical intervention. The man is a Satan personified. So that is why I included, of course, the whole question of Petrotrin to show the impact you would have had, even in the north here, even though, of course, it is situated central in Trinidad, but it has repercussions for all women, and therefore I thought I should include that in, of course, this, what I consider to be hodgepodge, or this group of clippings or videos and audios that I've put together to commemorate this Mother's Day.
I tell you, like she loved you, like she loved me all the
Listen to this ugly man.
And because she knows that I love women, she thinks I love any woman. I have taste. A lawyer who was on the verge of being your attorney general.
Of course, he was referring to Kamala Prasad, Mr. Sadia.
It licks in your waist, licks in your face, and licks all over your paper place. And she could jump high, she could jump low. She could drink this, she could drink that. She could back up the tongue because they know she can. Coming with a coattail telling you, vote for Kamala. That is tantamount to hugging up a porcupine to go to bed.
Minister, I'd like to take the conversation to a more social realm, the social climate. You look on social media.
It's Christmas time. We should have some drinks then.
Well, perhaps of the non-alcoholic flavor.
Well, that is not drink.
You got a person like a woman. You got to groom her every day. Otherwise, it turns into a pasture.
I choose my words very carefully. I choose my word very carefully. You could behave as an effective opposition leader. I think the country is better for that. But geometry is not really the way to deal with these things.
1/3 of the murders in recent times are domestic violence or domestic issues. And then that, you call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom, I'm not in your choice of men. Call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom, I'm not in your choice of men. Clip of some school children from one of our schools in the West. Young girls.
Yes, people. That is what we have purported to be Prime Minister.
In the African jungle.
No restraint.
Who breed monsters at
No
home.
pride, no
and send these
dignity
monsters to teach us.
Well, I want to tell Mr. Prasad
almost an octogenarian if he's not one as
because
yet.
as long as Sharon is happy with how much I have outside and how much I have inside, Rowley's happy with that. At least what I had outside and what I have inside, they escape and they're alive.
Her words are slurred. She's falling down all over the world. In the car, out the car.
Being, of course, a Prime Minister in this country. And, of course, we must bring back singing Sandra to tell him as it is.
You want to help to mind your family. You want to help your man financially. But nowadays it's really very hard to get a job as a girl in Trinidad. You're looking now to find something to do. You meet a boss man who promised to help you. But when the man led on the condition, nothing else but humiliation. You want to see your own animal. You want to see where your doctor helps. You want to do where your husband never do. Still you will know if these camps will hire you. But if it's all this humiliation to get a job these days as a woman, brother, they go keep their money, I go keep my honey.
Yes, indeed, of course. Let's go straight, of course. Let's go straight to the line. Let's go straight to the line. Pleasant good night to welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to you.
Mother's Day to your wife and good night, Lennox. Happy Mother's Day to your wife and all ladies.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm sure that she would appreciate that. I'm sure she's listening and watching.
Lennox, you play a clip there with the Prime Minister flirting with a woman there.
Yes, a journalist, in fact, it was at the time.
You know what that remind me of? When Chris Gayle was having an interview with Australian interviewer, sports journalist, and he did something similar to that. You know, the real lame have it up in Australia for that.
Yeah.
And the Prime Minister doing something similar. This woman's a married woman, this Fianne Richards lady. And you know, shortly after that, she leave the work. She's working in the I think it's the UN now. But I hear you have good news, Lennox. You have good news to get from the Prime Minister.
What's that, boy? With this fella, he's the bearer of evil. You could ever get good news?
It have direct flight to Guyana from Trinidad now. Yeah, worry again, Lennox. They're going directly to Ghana now. He fixed up that for me. We could go Ghana anytime we want. Direct flights from Ghana to Trinidad. You going? You going to visit the mother?
Not enough for them to look for me somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean in the crossing.
Well, that is what he's going to do. He's going to get direct flight, so he's going to help the economy. I mean, they can send a direct flight with the
A
money
country that is in the
to
jaws of the IMF. That to me is not an optimistic eye opener. I have to take that with a chocolate of salt.
Well, the man went up there and he ramaging himself in some palace and thing there and making deals. I don't know what deals he make. Guys,
He went to open airport that was initiated, I think, renovated recently, but was initiated in 1941, if my historical recollection serves me right. And of course, but we have one in Tobago. We have one in Tobago that is supposed to be under construction. I'm sure that it is now over cost, but there are not enough flights to, of course, support the expenditure as far as tourism is concerned, because that is what that was all about. So again, bad planning and prioritization, and of course, so many people there were displaced and angry right now for the injustice that was done to them.
I only have to know about that. And also this camera business with these banditos and them mount up between Porters, Tunapuna and St. Augustine. I hear about 60 cameras and they only get about what, 12 of them or 20 of them and 40 of them missing still. So I don't know what the rest of them is. The cameras planted and they had to go find them. Like that are mystery too. And the matter with the AG forming this committee, which is like himself investigating himself. This arrogant little man who before the public service for them to launch an investigation, not for he to go and formalize a group of people, including a retired judge who I believe is some PNM personal.
Yeah, so long as they are saying something. In other words, if they tell you close your eye, you have to open it. If they tell you jump, so therefore, why they are saying they have no connection clearly? Because right now, let me tell you this, this is a dangerous development. Jeremy and Henderson, two known PNM activists, one of course a former Attorney General, and one I had a personal encounter with, of course, the present head of Judicata, talking about Noel Garcia, where he withdrew a case that was before the magistrate court for ordinary people, and because Noel Garcia was the defendant, the matter was withdrawn by Henderson. And here it is, both of them are saying all that to say, both of them are candidates for appointment in the appeal court of this country. That is a dangerous development. Dangerous development. And from tomorrow, Andy and myself, of course, and Mikey, that is the next, of course, project that we would want to work on. Jeremy, in particular, cannot become an appeal court judge. Cannot, must not.
And who is the one to appoint that? Not the Chief Justice?
The Chief Justice is part and parcel of what is called the Judicial Service Commission, something of that combination team, and he, of course, he's the head of it. And Jeremy and Henderson have been shortlisted. I don't know if it's among others to, of course, get the position. We must protest vehemently. This fella cannot misbehave in public office in the way that he did. I'm talking about Jeremy when he was Attorney General. He, of course, undermined and pervert the course of justice with respect to the Pandey case. He talked to, of course, the sitting magistrate at the time, Sherman McNichols. And, of course, there was a deal that he told McNichols, if, of course, when you finish, do what you have to do, we will discuss it. And, in fact, the deal went through with some land that Sherman McNichols had bought from Dupre's organization, the land management side of it. Yeah, and how the hell that could happen? And the only reason why Pandey got away was because the information came out, just as the information with respect to Vincent Nelson and this $10 million bribe. Whereas the same thing came out with happened with Jeremy, when of course it was declared that Jeremy met with the sitting magistrate who was supposed to pronounce and eventually threw the book at Pandey, and it was the appeal court that said political interference, and that is how Pandey got away. This is dangerous time. You want to add him there to, of course, the holder of the presidency, and of course the government being able to, of course, appoint all of the police service commissions, all of the public service commissions, all of the teaching service commission members, and we can go on and on, including EBC, and of course influencing the DPP's office. These are dangerous times, very dangerous, and we have to talk out and we have to engage.
I believe once you held political office for a political party, you have no part to go back inside of it.
Obviously, but of course they're making the argument about Julian Lucky, and they're making the point about another I think UNC let's say former member of parliament that might have gone there, but Julian Lucky had no major role to play. She was not the Attorney General, but even if she was the Attorney General, no right thinking and respecting citizen will accept what the antecedent that, or the history of Jeremy, and put him as a judge, far less an appeal court judge. That is a madness. His track record does not meet the standard that is required. Yeah, go ahead.
In simple terms, what you're trying to say, Julian Lucky wasn't involved in shenanigans, and this man was involved in that.
That's right.
Right, so that's a
big difference.
But,
yeah.
but your partner in got up until Wednesday to retract that tribunal. Or else they're going to file on him again.
They are entrapping themselves. They try to entrap so much people. They dig hole for others that they are now, of course, falling in grooves. So the time must come now for them to call an election. And whether they like it or not, they could of course limp along and with this lame duck administration and go to 2025. The population is waiting.
God, they standing up for them. She should taking a prisoner. They try to damage the woman and she reputation and she job. But he trying to say what kind of foolish shit about the lady trying to cook her healing.
Yes.
Him got to be making a lot of mistakes or the Minister of Finance plenty mistakes. And he had to own up to it. He like a little phone call. He could see, he could tell people the arrogance. And when the opposition leader tell him, there's only a tribunal, the public service could have a tribunal to investigate a matter. He calling the woman foolish and all kind of thing.
Yeah.
See, it's foolish stuff. He just come out.
Yeah, they are drunken with power. With power, they are inebriated with power. They are intoxicated with power, and they will have a very, very hard fall. The population must make certain that they are relegated to the dustbin of politics in this country, to the history books, and that's about it. This party is no good and is inimical to the interests of Trinidad and Tobago. Go ahead.
In good by talk more than he could chew with this auditor.
Yeah, but I mean, he always only had gum. It's just that he was camouflaging dentures. Yeah, camouflaging dentures. Yeah, that's what they're about.
Let he and the Attorney General who sided with him, let two of them facing music now. I'm going to wipe the floor with them.
Yes, indeed. And of course, don't forget, of course, the iniquities of the former Attorney General as well, who must, of course, pay the price when the time comes for the perversion of the course of criminal justice in this country, and the entire cabinet in their role, of course, to close down Petrotrin because they wanted to save Rowley, his name having been called in the fake oil matter. We're gonna deal with that at the appropriate time. But let's go straight, of course, to what Manning had to tell us about Rowley, and in a sense warned us in a circumlocutive way, but we took no heed, and as a consequence, Rowley get 2 terms, questionable as they are. But the fact is that if everybody came out and vote, no way EBC could have been used as an instrument to undermine the electoral process.
Completely out of control. I see hate. Mr. Speaker, I see bitterness. Mr. Speaker, I see acrimony. Mr. Speaker, I see animosity. And Mr. Speaker, I see a man completely out of control. Completely out of control, Mr. Speaker. That is what I see. And that problem is not a new problem to me, you know. I was aware of the tendency for the Honorable to go out of control. Since I argue your case, everybody has a chance.
Let's pause for a cause and hear what this caller has to say. Yes, indeed, of course. Pleasant good night. Welcome. The handset. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Smith, I want to wish everybody happy Mother's Day.
Right.
You know, but let me just say that what it is you said before, that people committing suicide.
Yes.
Because of the closing down of Petrotrin.
Yeah.
You feel it's only suicide. Some people end up as vagrants on the street. You know?
Right. All of those. Thank you for, of course, including your own observation. This is what this is all about. We're sharing information. I don't claim to have the repository of all information. So thank you, of course, for adding that reality.
Because as I said before, Marbella is now a ghost town. It dead.
Yes, you did mention that in John certain terms. Yeah.
And not only that, anyway, even like the hospital. Watch the hospital, San Fernando Hospital.
Yes.
Not the one that the building that Manning built by Kamla for the teaching hospital, you know. The other one, they covered it a black canvas right now.
Okay.
9 years, the RC spend as Minister Health. And he see about it. You understand? And these people want to go back to take a next bite of the cherry. You have to be crazy. You have to be crazy to get another bite. And if Trinidadians allow that to happen, well, but I don't know. I don't know. Akola calling, I think was, I don't even want to go down that road because, you know, Rowley is just a crazy person. He's just, he's doing what he wants. And like, you know, it's as if the EDC and all these other bodies, nobody can tell him that he's wrong. Only the Auditor General come now to say, hey, but, you know, put your house in order because, and he can't even put it. And these days, according to one caller, his face, you see that big smile he had? Like that gone.
Yeah.
that smile just gone off his face. So I want people to understand that, you know, that Petrotrin that closed down there is plenty people out of employment.
Yes.
So, you know, that was an important industry in the life of Trinidad. And this man shut it down. Not only the closing down of the refinery, but even the scrap iron people was affected too.
Yes.
By his intervention.
Yes, well, even down to bitumen. A problem with the quality of the road surfaces now because of the lack of bitumen, which has to be imported now as a adhesive and well tested and known for, of course, providing longevity for road surfaces.
For your roads.
Yeah.
So later I'll call back again.
Okay then. Thanks very much, of course, for your intervention. Yes, indeed. So, of course, we are all over the place. People are calling from all over the world, and of course, and within Trinidad as well. And of course, bringing vital information so that you can make an informed decision. This is what it is all about. Just as how they have a proclivity, a tendency, or almost a predilection, an obsession to do us evil, we must reciprocate with a greater intensity. That is why we have a Sunday program on the corridor transformation. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Lennox, good night again to you and to everybody on the chat.
Yes.
I want to tell the caller that the Auditor General should wipe the snicker off a Chucky face and never.
I will see that man get serious. He feel that bully. He feel he could bully everybody and get away with it.
Yes.
But you wipe the smile off his face. Lennox, one of the things I wanted to discuss, and I heard you talking about it as well, is this thing with John Jeremy.
Yes.
He really needs to be investigated before becoming an appeal court judge. He really, because of his involvement with the McNicholson, when he was playing real estate agent for him.
That's right.
He needs to be investigated. And there are a lot of other things. You know, one of the questions we needed to ask was, why was he removed? Why was he removed as Attorney General? And they brought in Bridget and he said, George, you remember that?
Yes, I remember that. Well,
and then when Manning fired her, and he brought him back.
Yeah, it's a similar scenario with, of course, Al-Rawi. Al-Rawi was removed because the stench of
the witness tampering.
Abuse of office was looming large.
Yeah.
And so they had to pacify and they had to reduce and deflect attention away from it. So, but of course, not too far. They give him, of course, a cabinet appointment, but of course, in the Ministry of Local Government. So it's the same pattern.
You see,
of
Lennox?
behavior.
Yeah, Lennox, bad behavior is rewarded under the PNM.
Yeah.
We have seen, Darrell Smith, bad behavior. He was rewarded with a big job in the States and Canada. Imagine that man going to represent us in the States and Canada. Imagine that.
And they have
now you have Judge.
They wouldn't say no, it is unethical, it is immoral. They ain't saying no at all to preserve silver. Really, these Judases against the people will certainly have to feel the pain and the ache that so many of us have been feeling as a consequence of those, should I say, misgivings that they have imposed on the people. But go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah, but I heard you say that tomorrow all they're going to deal with that, with this John Jeremy thing. Yeah, I agree. And look at how much state brief that this man has gotten.
Yeah.
Look at how much state brief.
Yeah, apart from that. So it's clear, clear that they're looking to put their pernicious tentacles inside of the judiciary firmly. And and it casts aspersion on the Chief Justice himself, who has been accused of course, towing the line of
wrongdoing himself,
of the government. Yeah. So we see now, we're seeing it coming vividly before our eyes. The population cannot be deterred, and we must come out there in our masses and make sure every single vote in every constituency is voted against the PNM, or put another way, for the
UNC. People have to come out, Lennox. This is no time to be playing smart with foolishness. Elections have consequences. And the same way I'm calling people to come out at the NATEX. Come out. Lennox, I sent you a post.
Okay.
Where somebody was identifying let me put it nicely, somebody was identifying some people from the Traitor Five were meeting with certain individuals in Manzalina and in Mayaru.
Okay.
Now we're not saying who.
Not unexpected, but evil will never prevail. And if you are good, you will always conquer. So, but of course, you have to work. He helped those who help themselves. So we have
and Lennox, you remember I telling you that as soon as Kamala called NATEX, Rowley is going to call the by-elections. So said, so done.
Yes.
Because the NATEX is on the 15th, and the two by-elections, I think it's the two, is on the 19th.
Yeah.
You see? So there's hardly any time. They have it hard.
He wants to generate the wedge. And capitalize on what is taking place in the UNC to go down there. But while, of course, we cannot in totality say it's a fait accompli unless, of course, the ballots are counted, and when the ballots are
Yeah.
counted, we have a duty to, of course, plug away, to insist, as we have been doing, and we will continue, of course, to do so, since they have not decided to relent their evil on the people. So we must double our efforts, in other words.
That's right. We have to keep out the PNM
That's right.
out of those two districts, and we have to keep out Parry and company out of Natex.
Out of Natex.
Suddenly suddenly Parry know about the situation in the country, that tomorrow he's going on CNC3, right, to discuss it with whatever that man name is on the Morning Brew.
Yes.
He didn't know about the situation in the country for the last couple of weeks, right? When they refused to help, when they refused to vote with what was going on with the Auditor General, he didn't know about that. But suddenly now, Natex has been called, so he's going to discuss the situation in the country with a PNMite.
Yeah, they will start to of course, their petticoats, so to speak. But we are alert. History is being repeated, and because we have the experience behind us, we will be able to adjust, adapt, and respond appropriately.
And I am appealing to UNC people who can vote, go out there and vote them out. Don't give them one little toe inside of that Natex. Don't give it to them.
That's right.
Thanks again, Lennox.
Yes, indeed. And one cannot question your patriotism, Miss Santa Cruz, your commitment, because just as me, just as Andy, Mikey, the Ground Report, etc., and others, whether it be, of course, people like, well, I used to say Victor Roberts. I no longer can say that, but certainly Annie Roberts. I want to say that you are tower of power, your tower of strength, and of course your motivation has no boundary in terms of encouraging others to recognize their own potential and to make their contribution towards getting rid of this albatross, so-called the PNM, and Dr. Rowley as a despicable, should I say, construct of a criminal enterprise called the PNM. Let's go straight, of course, to the line. Let's go on the hard. Yes. Our pleasure. Good night. Welcome. Yes, loud and clear, my friend.
Hear this.
Yes.
Remember, Joe Pandey became the Prime Minister of this country. Do you know what thousands of people came back to Trinidad?
Yes, and up to yesterday, last night, in fact, there are several persons residing in North America saying that they will be coming back in Europe as well, just to vote. They're saving the money and making that journey simply to make certain that Trinidad and Tobago is a better place, and seeing the backs of Rowley and they. But go ahead.
Boy, people, the kind of people that came back here, because it's your God. At least we go get a good country now.
Yes.
Right? Unfortunately, we know all of it, right?
Right.
The first duty of our government, is the safety of their citizens.
Yes.
Jobs for everybody, money in people's pocket. And
that's right. Generation of employment opportunities, etc. Yeah.
Exactly. But they take on 1,500 police one time. You might remember 1,500 police employed one time,
Yeah.
In the service,
Okay.
Just in case you didn't think, I'm bringing you up to date.
All right.
You bring the land for the landless.
Yes.
For people to get, take your land, pay your money and build your house. And you know what people get out,
Yes.
I don't know if man can continue that.
No. They do it in a different form, but of course, why is it they were distributing 200 and 100 homes per week? They were doing it. They are doing it now. Maybe 40 a quarter or 40 every 2 months, as the case may be, and then telling you that you should be fortunate. Yeah, you should be fortunate. It's just as how their training program are also designed for the least amount of persons, but maximum public relations for them, for the population to be hoodwinked into believing they're doing the population a favor, when in fact they're just scratching the surface of the issue.
But the point I want to make to you overall is this now.
Yeah.
This country is so small. Anybody with common sense
Yes.
could run this country.
Of course.
Right? So what I'm showing you about these people running this country right now. I already went to pack and sold $100 million.
Yeah, common sense is not as common as we would expect among them fellas who say they went to university. Go ahead. Yes.
And I will always tell you, when time comes for people to open up their mouth and talk, he said when Kujos and even for James and all who could talk now. And you and all these fellas, they sit on the behind and they don't say nothing.
Yeah, because they are eating from the poisonous fruit, you see.
They have, so they don't care about the people who don't have.
Yes, they have eaten from the poisonous fruit, and they want that status quo to remain, and therefore they believe that they are obligated to that poisonous fruit, and they continue, of course, indirectly or directly to suffocate true potential and the equitable distribution of the country's resources.
So they get in the big car, and they're watching the road, and they see a fellow with a little thing trying to buy the open screen for you. They still are like a big boy, and they just...
Yeah, they are part of the course. They go home and sleep comfortable, knowing full well that their conscience will tell them that what they have is ill-gotten, and they have a duty and responsibility to reverse that. But of course, those in power are their friends as well, and they don't want to rock the boat.
Them have, but this is it. But them have conscience?
Well, of course, it's practically speaking, no. They are unconscionable, yeah.
But that's why I studied this thing today. This place so small. I thought that's of this way, man, not so?
Yes.
And we had all this well past here. Look at this place now, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's as if Neanderthals have taken over cavemen.
Yes,
really going backwards on his potential and real oppression, depression, economic starvation, and of course literal starvation, academic and educational destruction, and our hospitals and health facilities in shambles. Yes.
George Chambers tried to help people. He free up the money, everybody can make $1.
Yeah.
Right, they get rid of you too.
This fella only want to tax, and believing that somehow he could tax the country and talking prosperity still. So he could tax the country into prosperity when in fact the reverse is the case. Tax us into poverty.
Lennox, the PNM Iraqi will help to get rid of George Chambers, yeah? And I always tell you that, yeah?
Yeah.
Because Chambers care about the people. And he said to Kamala care about the people.
Yeah.
She care that everybody have a job, money in the pocket, and I move over there.
That's right.
That is the job, the responsibility of our government.
That's right. Like that it has been so from time immemorial. Rowley and they turned it around to be government must be their own private parlor.
Yeah. And so we want to share like get that your business.
That's right.
And all this kind of thing. I heard that boy there the other day would have give a slap.
Who's that?
The boy would have put a slap on him, he died the other day.
Yeah. Not yet. He died about 7 years now. I saw put a slap on Rowley. A standard joke in St. Babs.
We need to like that around Lennox.
Yes.
You see the thing with Jeremy? But I know you're going to take up any morning.
Yes, definitely. That has to be a major front burner issue tomorrow.
That man should have played next to the chief justice and have only cell phone and recording and all kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
Then you got a slime deal every day.
Yeah. What the hell you doing in the office of appeal judge? Like things going real bad with he too to take up that. By now we should have enough money to do away with that. But it looks as though he's going there for a purpose for the PNM as part of the PNM sinister agenda, because they know the writing is on the wall, but they want to be there to frustrate the efforts of the incoming administration, but the people will deal with that. The people will deal with that. Yeah.
And as long as you go report wrong, and you are wrong any night,
Yes.
you go deal with that.
Of course.
Before I go,
Yes.
you get the movie last night?
Yes. Fantastic.
Yeah. Good movie,
Yeah. Let me write it down again. I want to take a look at it again.
Right.
I have a lot of work to do tonight because I have a court matter tomorrow with some people, but for some people. So, but let me take it on again. What's the name of the movie again?
Santa Fe Passage.
Santa Fe, yes. SANTA.
Passage.
FE Passage. AGE, yeah. Passage, right, okay. Yeah, I'll take a look at it again. Because we just have about 5 more minutes. Yeah, so we have about 5 more minutes, so I'll just take a look at it. We gotta get up 2 o'clock and finish them fellas thing for them. Yes. Santa Fe Passage, people. All right. Let me go to the next one. Okay then. Tomorrow. Yes. Bye-bye. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor on this Mother's Day edition. President, good night.
Yes, Mr. Lennox. Pleasant night again.
Yes.
I have a issue to bring across to you. Now, see if you could throw your mind back. And remember this, right?
Yes.
There was a British reporter that came to the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
He went to Guyana to interview the president of Guyana about climate change, and he was put in his place.
I remember that. Yes.
Okay.
I remember that. Yeah. That was a recent one. Yeah.
The president also went to England, where he was questioned. His statement was based upon reparation for slavery, where he was demanding that the Europeans and the British pay the African people for slavery. And there was a big uproar for that.
Yes.
Here the thing why our Prime Minister, I think he went to Ghana. Now, Ghana economy crashing, eh?
Of course, but it is in the jaws of the IMF right now. Only on January they got the second tranche over 60 million, I believe, at 60 billion in their dollars. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So President Ali went to Ghana because he was invited there based upon him going to England and defending the reparations. So he was invited to Ghana, and he was also, I think they give him some sort of title.
Okay.
So I'm suggesting that our leader probably think, well, he probably get jealous or some kind of thing like that. But hence the reason, whatever is whatever. There's an issue in the papers, the Express, the Sunday Express, in the business section, where it speaks about our reserves in gas, where the country needs 4.2 cubits every day, right? And we only having 2.5.
Yes.
And what they're doing, they're trying to liaise with the Guyanese government to get oil and gas from there. But they have another problem because of the distance. They cannot run lines through the sea because of the distance. So they're trying now to see if they could pass it. They're trying to see if they could pass it through Venezuela. That also is an issue.
Right.
Because you know the Americans down here, right?
Yes.
You know that, right?
And the Essequibo controversy as well.
They sent 2 jets down here yesterday, you know.
Okay.
Plus a military plane landed at Piaco. So this region is going to get very heated sometime soon. Thank you, and I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, of course, for that update. Usually, of course, Miss Arima will give us that kind of update, but I don't know. I don't think that she is sick or that she is, of course, otherwise indisposed. But I suspect that there may be some other factors. But all are welcome. All I insist upon is that we focus on the issues, just as the last caller, and we do not, of course, extend any recriminations or hurl insults to anybody's contribution, because as far as I'm concerned, our tenacity, our commitment, our dedication is one that must show the government that we are not on a course to relent, or are we going to sit complacently and watch them destroy Trinidad and Tobago? And every single commentator and every single effort is crucial to this cause of resuscitating, reviving, and the renaissance that is required. Yes, I say renaissance from the perspective of what would have been in the past as opposed to what is being delivered to us now. We are too backward, and the delivery is too backward oriented, and we simply cannot progress with that kind of management in our faces. A pleasant good night. A final call. Pleasant good night.
Lennox.
Yes, good night.
Lennox.
Yes.
I see you talking about the failure 5.
Yes.
Right? That is the decision, the failure 5.
Yes.
Only be careful at the Rambali, you know. I hear you say you go and do retribution prayers for the man who break in the temple and then desecrate it.
Oh,
so you know
right.
it's retribution prayer.
Yeah,
You know
well, that's because the person did a wrong. But when somebody doing a good and you're trying to pray on them, well, it means that you are doing the wrong. So expect a boomerang.
What I'm trying to tell you, you know what retribution prayers mean when a man tell you that.
Well, yeah, of course, yes.
Walk over here. I'm going to walk over here for you. That's what you mean to say.
Well, yes. I'm saying if the person did a wrong, you don't even have to characterize it as retribution. That will be a natural occurrence because they did wrong. Just as how Rowley and they have done wrong to us, and they are failing and of course are destroying themselves. Well, it's the same thing here. Even though, of course, prayer will play its role in that process.
Well, that is the way I hear you talking, and you want to have he in the UNC? He talking like that?
Yeah.
Eh?
Well,
And
I mean, if something is already good, I can't see how you could turn it bad to suit you, to suit your cause. So it means therefore they are bad, and therefore they will never prevail.
The Shogunas may have to take his position for that Shogunas peace area to fight that
And
election.
done with that, yeah, done with that,
Man.
yes. Done with that, yes.
He cannot go back into parliament with the way he
No, it will be, it's not tenable, it's untenable for that to happen. He has already generated too much bad waters, and that bridge has already been crossed. All right. So thanks for your contribution. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Same to you. People, of course, we have come to the end. Yes, indeed, of course. Tomorrow night, of course, I'll complete, of course, Mr. Manning's, should I say, observation. But an observation that was nestled in his own experience. And whilst, of course, some at the time would have said that it was obnoxious, that he was, of course, attempting to boost his own popularity and his own position in the party. I talk about Manning, castigating Rowley at the time. Over time, we now know that it was a justifiable one, and he was really trying to warn us. But, of course, he having brought him into the politics of Trinidad and Tobago in the way that he ended up Rowley engaging. And Rowley, as a typical opportunist, clearly decided to undermine him to take over. And of course, as we know, with so many people, we have seen history replete with such individuals. They pretend that they know. They can do what someone else can do. I have had it in my own experiences as well. And then it turned out to be total disaster, shambolic, and of course, a state of almost irretrievable, or put another way, irretrievability. Well, Rowley is in the jaws of that scenario. But good thing is politics, and we the people must decide ultimately on our index finger, one man, one vote, in unison, will of course remedy this situation. Have a wonderful rest of the night, and once again to all mothers, have a wonderful rest of the night. I know that is nearing, of course, a bedtime. The time 12 o'clock is upon us, but I'm sure that, as I've always said, every day should be Mother's Day, just as how I believe as well every day should be Father's Day. But of course, this special day, of course, you do special things that you would not normally do in the ordinary course of your engagement with your offsprings, so to speak. So have a wonderful one. God bless. And of course, we must end with singing Sandra, and then of course my Sunday anthem, of course, the Baptist medley, so that we can put perspective right for the beginning of the new week, which is of course tomorrow. Don't forget, of course, that tomorrow morning, Andy, Mikey, and myself on the ground report, as we continue, of course, to report. And don't forget tomorrow night from 10 o'clock, tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell everyone that the corridor transformation is here to stay, and that they can engage because it is interactive, and at the same time, people, edifies and bring you closer to solidifying your position, so that when you go to the polls, you have no choice but to act in your own best interests. Evil could never prevail over good people.